Well, we just finished up watching the much anticipated press conference by President Joe Biden. There was a lot of people excited about it. There was a lot of people worried about it. Now, the people that were excited were people like Republicans, the media, some Democrats. They were waiting for that one slip up by Joe Biden that they could pounce on, exploit, exaggerate, expand on, and then say, see, Joe needs to step aside. But I think the vast majority of people that were watching that press conference were really pulling for Joe Biden. It's an interesting thing. We've seen a lot of candidates come through. People who support their candidate, that happens all the time. But there's something different with Joe Biden. Not only do they support him, they love this guy. They want to protect this guy. They want to support this guy. And why not? Joe seems like an everyman. He's calm, he's soft-spoken, and he's been one of the most productive presidents in the history of this country. He's the one president that's doing something for the people as opposed to giving the rich a bunch of tax breaks. So people do love him. And they take offense to people attacking him and trying to push him out. Now, the press conference, Joe came out, and he was slower than maybe we'd like him to be. He maybe stumbled over a word or two. But here's a couple of things you got to remember. He's old. He's 81 years old. That's not a surprise. Things are going to work slower when you get old. I'm 64. Trust me, I know this. I do these TikToks and I speak, but to be honest with you, to do a TikTok that I finally post, I end up doing it 3, 4, 5 times because I'll fuck up a word or I'll say something I didn't mean to say. I do it all the time, so I don't worry about whatever gaffes that Joe Biden has. And think about it this way. Who is the greatest basketball player of all time? I know it's up for debate, but some would say Michael Jordan, right? Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan was maybe one of the, if not the greatest basketball player of all time. No greater basketball mind. But what's he in his 50s now? If you took Michael Jordan today, the greatest basketball player of all time, and put him in an NBA game, I bet he wouldn't perform up to the standards that we remembered from the 80s and the 90s, because he's older, because he's slower. But he's still got the intelligence about basketball. And that's what Joe Biden showed us in this speech. As much as he might have been slow at times, he showed some passion. He showed some fire at several points in this speech. But the fact of the matter is he taught a master class on international policy. Nobody in government today knows more about that than Joe Biden. 60 years behind him. He spent a lot of time dealing with leaders all over the world. Nobody knows it better than him. And you know what? That's where he shined. He told the people what he knew, what he was going to do, what he accomplished. There was no question that what he had to say was clear. Yeah, he could have said it faster. He could have missed a few words here and there. But nobody can speak more intelligently about the things he spoke about today than Joe Biden. So what's this determine? I know Joe was under the microscope. This was a test for Joe. It shows me two things. Joe is slower than he used to be, but he's 81. But Joe is also very sharp, and he knows more than anybody else. So does that preclude him from running for president? Fuck no. We should feel fortunate that we have somebody that experienced ready to continue to run this country.